As I told you, we got a special guest speaker today. Everybody excited about that? Well, it's a young man who has felt a call of God on his life, and I'm not going to share too much because he wants to share some of his testimony here today. So I just couldn't be prouder to be able to come out here and introduce this young man. God's just been working on him over the last few years, and he's just grown in his leadership abilities, in his spiritual life, and now we're going to give him an opportunity to share all that God's done in his life with you. So the second heir to the Barksdale millions, Alex Barksdale.
Morning, church. Let me get a drink of water real fast. I'm already dry. Oh, man. I know you're probably thinking, why in the world would they give the pastor's kid the mic? Pastor's kids are the worst. Yes, we are. But God can still use a pastor's kid, amen? I just want to start off with some acknowledgments. Just thanking my dad, Pastor Jeff, and Pastor Mike for this opportunity. I'm truly humbled to be up here. And I just wanted to thank them for being obedient to God 11 years ago when they decided to move all the way down to Palm Coast from Massachusetts and packing up their dream homes that they had. We had a pretty comfortable life and all 10 kids, and it definitely was not easy. And I was talking actually with Dakota the other day, and I was like, can you believe what our parents did 11 years ago with 10 kids and 4 of them, in teenage years, all hormonal and all just a mess? I was like, my faith is not that big. I would not have done it. But thank you guys for the sacrifices you made and being obedient to God's calling, because it's given myself and other of us just opportunities that God has allowed us to have, that's allowed us to grow, because I don't know where I'd be at if it wasn't for your guys' obedience. So thank you for doing what you did 11 years ago. All right, you guys ready? So I'm just going to start off with just kind of a random story. I like to shop for clothes a lot. Does anybody like to clothes shop? Hold on. Is there any men in here secure enough in their masculinity to raise their hand and say, you know what, yeah, I like buying clothes, man. Sweet. All right, bless you. God has blessing on you. Okay. I do a lot of clothes shopping online, though. I don't actually go to the store much to buy my clothes. I do it all on Amazon. So I was on Amazon about a few months ago, and I needed these pair of pants for just an event I had to go to. It was like a wedding or something, and I wanted pants that would, fit the attire. So I'm ordering it online, and I make my order, and I did it like 3 weeks at a time. I like to plan ahead with everything I do. And it was taking a while for it to come in. So I'm like, where the heck are these pants at, man? So I'm waiting like 3 weeks, and usually Amazon only takes like 5 or 6 days. It usually comes pretty quick. But it's like 3 weeks goes by, and I'm like, I got to track this order. So, you can go online, and you can track your order and see where it's at. And it hadn't shipped yet. So I was like, the heck? So I sent an email to them, like, what happened to my package? I've been waiting for it for a while. Like, I need it by this date. And they're like, oh, sorry, we got lost in the warehouse, and it's going to get to you. We're going to ship it now. I was like, okay. So I wait like 5 more days, and I still haven't gotten it. So I'm like, okay. I go back, and I track it again. And it says, your package is in transit. Some of you here this morning, maybe you feel like you've been waiting a long time for something. Maybe you've been praying for something for a long time. Maybe it's a blessing from God. Maybe it's your big breakthrough that you've just been waiting for. You know that thing that you've just been praying for, and you've just been waiting. You're kind of getting impatient. Well, it's in transit. It's on the way. God told me to tell you, that breakthrough, that thing you've been praying for is in transit. God did not forget about you. He is seldom early, but he is never late. Amen? Amen. So just pray with me real fast. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for this day, God, and I just ask that you would use me, God, as your vessel just to speak to these people, God, and I just pray that you just get myself out of the way. Just communicate what you have to say this morning, God, and let it be a blessing, Lord. All this in your name, amen. So we're in this series called Leverage, and last week, Pastor Brian gave an awesome message on leveraging time. It was, if you guys missed it, he took his shirt off and everything, like he got into it. He washed Delano's feet. If you weren't here last week, you missed out. Pastor Brian gave a message on leveraging time, and 2 weeks ago, my dad opened up with just a series opener. So this week, we're talking about leveraging talents. So when I was asked to do this message about a month or two ago, I'm like, leveraging talents. How the heck am I going to talk about that for like 30 plus minutes? I'm like, I'm not that creative. So we're going to talk about leveraging talents and gifts, and we kind of wanted it to be a push for serving. So we kind of wanted to talk about how serving is an honor and how it's an honor and a privilege when you get to serve and how you can use your talents and gifts to serve. So we wanted to kind of call this Serving Sunday. Before I even go into that, I just kind of want to give my serve testimony so you guys can know where I came from. Because I know some of you might think, of course, he's the worship director here. He's the pastor's kid. He knows somebody. They just kind of threw him in. Obviously, they just put him there just because he's the pastor's kid. But no, I just kind of wanted to go through my testimony and how I got to where I'm at today so you guys can kind of get to know me and my serve testimony. So I grew up in the church, Baptist church. Didn't really serve much as a kid, but I did do Sunday school every single week. And pretty much the only serving I did was taking all the empty communion cups after the church and stacking them up and putting them in the back. But then I'd go and drink the ones that didn't get drinking. And then I'd always stick two in my eyes and like walk around like a bug like this. Be like, me and Adam used to do that all the time. Those were good days, man. It was good times. But so it was about 11 years ago we actually moved to Palm Coast, and we actually launched our first Lifecoast service was on my birthday. This is my church. You might think this is your church. This is my church. It's my birthday present. So we launched it, and I was about 14 when we moved. Didn't really want to move. I really liked my life in Massachusetts and all of our friends. We had this big street we lived on. We were all homeschooled. We all kind of hung out and played wiffle ball all day. But we moved here, and my parents had a calling on their life, and they were obedient to it, even when it was hard. So I didn't really get plugged into anything like worship or anything. I didn't have any musical talents at the time. I'd never played an instrument, never sang before in my life. I just played baseball is all I did. We started off in the theater, and we'd go there every Saturday night, and we'd set it up. We'd clean the whole theater out. We'd get scraping gum out from under the seats, and we'd put all the stuff in for the nursery and kids' church, and we did that for about, 6 months we were in the theater? About 6 months, and then we came in here about 6 months into existence. So we moved into this church, this building, this school, and then we did the whole trailer thing. So all I did for about 4 years, of the first 4 years of the church's existence, all I did was set up and break down. I would come in, and we would do all the stage, and we would set everything up, and then we would go into the lobby, and I would set up the whole lobby, and then we'd go to kids' church and nursery, and we'd set up all the kids' church and nursery, and we'd end up playing with all the kids' toys and kicking balls and breaking stuff in there because we were 14, 15 years old, and we were stupid kids. And I didn't want to do any of it. I hated it. I hated setting up, and I hated breaking down. And I did it every week because I was obedient to my dad, and they had a calling, and we moved here, and I just wanted to be obedient, and I just wanted to do what I was told, and I wanted to see the church grow, and I wanted to see their investment grow. And these people here in Palm Coast, we came to reach the lost in Palm Coast, so I kind of wanted to be a part of it, and I hated serving, though. I didn't like doing it. So it was about 4 years in, and then I got asked if I wanted to learn to do lighting, some of the house lighting in here. So it was a much different set then. It was like they have different house lights, and they weren't as like LED as they are now. They're not. I don't like them much now, and I did some stage lighting. I would just set the stage lights. Did that for about 2 years. So I'd come in, set up, break down, and then I would do lights for the service. And I got real good at, figuring out service flow. Like, okay, they're praying. Let's just shh. Mood lights. Okay, the Spirit's really filling here. Oh, man, let's turn it down a little bit. So I did that for about 2 years. I was just a light guy. Nobody really knew it. And then Devin came on, and Devin was like 11 or 12 at the time. He was a young kid, and he wanted to learn. So I just taught him. So I was like, okay, man, we just move this knob up and down here, and we do this. He's like, okay, I got it. And he's a quiet kid, and it took about a year. We and him would do a shift on and off. And then Devin just took off with it because that's where his talent's at. Devin is gifted with lighting, and look at the lighting we have now. We have all these sweet lights and all this stuff. That's not me. I'm not that creative. Devin, a perfect example of leveraging his talents and gifts to advance the kingdom. So I just want to give Devin a round of applause for just being such a stud on the lights. So it wasn't about probably 5 or 6 years into the church's existence that I actually joined the worship team. I was probably 19, and my dad had asked me if I wanted to learn bass. I was like, yeah, sure, So I learned a couple songs and a couple things. And I'm not super proud about this, but the real reason I wanted to join the worship team is because there was a girl on it that I was crushing on, and I wanted to impress her. But God still used it, amen? So, but it worked. It worked. So just a tip for you guys, the women do love musicians. That's free. It's on the house. You're welcome. So I just played bass like once a month. I was not that great when I started. I hit a lot of clankers, practiced a lot, and I would just show up to practice and just practice with the team for the first 8 weeks or so and just hang out with the team. I never actually got on stage till about 8 or 10 weeks of practicing with the team. So I got on the rotation for about once a month. And then I was asked by our worship leader, Carrie Stewart at the time, if I wanted to learn some sound. So I said, sure. So I learned a live stream back there, and I started doing some sound. Before we had that soundboard, because I don't even know how the heck that thing works, I look at it and I'm like, this thing's in Greek. I have no idea what to do. The other one was much more simple. So me and Dustin kind of learned at about the same time. And then Dustin kind of took it over because he's much more talented than I am in that. And now we probably have the best sound we've ever had in this house in 10 years of existence because of Dustin leveraging his time, his talent, his treasures. So thank you, Dustin, for being such a stud and being here faithfully every single week and leveraging your talent. We really appreciate it. So where was I at? I learned sound. So I was doing sound and all that stuff, and I started playing more bass. So I'm playing bass just in the back probably 3 or 4 times a month. It's kind of becoming full-time now. And I remember I was at work one day, and Carrie Stewart texted me. It was like a Saturday, and we were doing a night of worship the next day. And she said, oh, hey, Alex, have you ever heard that song, This is Amazing Grace by Phil Wickham? And I'm like, I think like, yeah, once or twice. Like I wasn't that big of a fan of it at the time, actually. I was like, yeah, I've heard it. She's like, okay, you're singing it tomorrow night. And I was like, no, I'm not. It's like, I'm not doing it. It's like, it's not happening. She's like, okay, just come to practice with it. Just sing it and just hear how it sounds. If it's not good, we just won't do it. If it's good, like I'm gonna encourage you to do it. I was like, okay, I'll give you that much. I'll come and I'll practice it. But even if it's good, I'm probably not gonna do it. She's like, just come and practice. I was like, okay. So I showed up to practice that night for the night of worship, and I did it for the practice, and I guess it was up to par to her standards. She's like, okay, you're doing it. I'm like, crap, dude. I don't want to do this. I was so nervous. I was like, I'd never sang before in my life. Like, I don't even sing in the shower, like maybe obnoxiously, but just to annoy my brothers. But I did it anyways because I knew Carrie was pushing me, and I knew it was going to allow me to grow. And I knew getting myself out of my comfort zone and doing something I didn't want to do was going to grow me and stretch me. So I was obedient, and I did it anyways, even when I didn't want to. So I started singing every other week or so, and then it was the next Sunday I sang on stage, and I was way more nervous again. It was like the first time I ever sang again. I'm up here, and I'm like, this is amazing grace. I'm like, okay. So she'd give me some new songs and stuff, and sometimes it wasn't so good. I'd show up to practice, and it was, to be honest, it sucked. Like, I wasn't good at it. I was like, I'm not singing anymore, Carrie. I'm terrible. I was like, don't put me up here anymore. She's like, no, we're just got to find songs that fit your strength, that fit your voice. I'm like, okay. So I just kept working through it, and practicing songs, and really just working on my voice and vocals, and it just got better and better over time. So I'm still not the most amazing singer in the world, but I can hold my own up here. So after about only 4 or 5 months into singing, it wasn't long at all, Pastor Mike texted me, and he told me to meet him at Panda Express. I was like, what did I do? It's like, I thought I was in trouble. He's like, it's really important. Let's meet at Panda at like 1 o'clock. I'm like, dang. I was like, I'm thinking about the last few months, and I'm like, I don't think I did anything that bad. Like, what did I do? So we sit down, and we start eating Panda, which is so good for you. Yeah, Panda. But he just starts telling me, he's like, I just got done with a meeting with Carrie, and she put in her 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, is going to be here last Sunday. So I'm like, why are you telling me? Like, he goes, but I want you to be the point person for worship. I was like, why? Said, really? It's like, I've only been singing for like a couple months. I don't know how to, I'm the most least talented on this worship team with my ability. Like, my brother's much more talented. Even DJ is here. He's 15, and he's like the most talented person in the world, and we all hate him because he's so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, like anybody, like I'm not talented. And Mike's just like, I see something in you, and I just see God steering you this way, and God's really put it on my heart. You've been obedient, and God's put it on my heart to put you in this position. So I've been doing it now, worship director here for about 1.5 years, and here we are today, right now. So we're talking about leveraging gifts and talents, and there's something, how do we leverage our gifts and talents? So first of all, everybody in here, you all have a gift, and you all have talent. Whether you think so or not, you do. You've got one. But there's a big picture that you gotta understand. Most people never get this in their whole life. Most people that I've met, adults, and they never really grasp this. In the 25 years that I've been alive and growing up in church, I'd say 75, 80% of people don't really grasp this, and it's mind-boggling. And students, young people in this room, if you can get this, if you can really grasp this and apply it to your life, you're going to be ahead of all your peers, and you're going to be ahead of most adults. You want me to tell you what it is? Yeah. Okay. Your talents and your gifts and your purpose is not about you. Your talents, your gifts, your purpose were not given to you for you. It's not for you. What's it about then? Everybody has a gift and a talent. It was given to you, not for you. If you got your Bibles, turn into 1 Peter 4:10 or your smartphone Bible, which is what I'm going to do. So 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of us has received a gift. Use it to serve one another. As God's stewards, of good stewards of God's varied grace, whoever speaks as one who speaks oracles of God, whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. We've got one more in Romans. We go to Romans 12:4-8. It says, for as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same function. So we, though many, are one body in Christ and individually members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. That makes sense to you guys? Yeah? Kind of said exactly what I was saying. Let me spread these papers out so I can actually see what my notes are. Got the first page done. Okay. So we all have gifts, and they all differ from each and every one of us, and that we know now that they're not given to us for us. And a lot of people kind of have the assumption, I know you probably know somebody, that the church is here for them, you know. They come in and they kind of got their little nitpicks on different churches and whatnot, and they kind of have the assumption, I don't think it's on purpose or anything, it's just kind of subconscious, that the church is here for them. And a lot of people think that everything's here for, you know, to meet their needs, when that's really not the truth. You got to, there's a mindset that's got to shift here. Ask not what my church can do for me, but what can I do for my church? Ask not what God can do for me, but what can I do for my God? So, hold on one second. So, God forbid a day where we come into a church and every single person looks exactly the same. God forbid we come into a church and every single person is dressed the same. Everybody's a strong Christian. Everybody's got the same level of faith, and it's just a big country club. Because otherwise, what are we doing? We're really just wasting our time here if we're all here just for us to really, you know, strengthen our faith and everybody here is a Christian. Otherwise, you might just well be playing golf. You might just be hanging out at the golf course playing golf because we're just here secluding ourselves as Christians. The church is not here for just people who are church people. So God forbid we ever become a church that's just for church people. The church is for the lost. This place is for people who don't know Jesus. This place is supposed to be attractive for people who have not heard of Jesus. It is not for just people who already know him. We should be leveraging our talents and serving to create opportunity for people who don't know Jesus to get in these doors. Amen? Now, I've heard this a lot in my whole life growing up at church, and I'm sure you guys know somebody who said this. People go to church, and they're probably more often the strong Christian, been saved a while, maybe grew up in the church themselves, been saved 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. And they've been going to a church for a while. And they've really, you know, maybe they had their salvation there, and they got saved, and they've really been growing. And I hear this a lot, and I'm sure you guys have heard somebody say it, but they just say, I think I'm going to try another church. I just don't feel like I'm getting fed here anymore. I'm just not getting fed anymore. I think I'm going to go to this bigger church and maybe hear it from this pastor. Maybe it'll sound different. Maybe it'll feed me. The gospel's the gospel. It doesn't matter who's saying it. It doesn't matter if Pastor Jeff, Pastor Mike's saying it, or if I'm saying it, or if a kid from Kids Church comes up here and preaches the gospel. The gospel's the gospel. It doesn't matter who's saying it. So we hear that a lot, and I'm sure you guys have heard somebody say that. They just don't feel like I'm getting fed here. If you feel like that, and you've been coming for a while, and you feel like you've just been sitting and attending, and you're really strong in your faith, and you feel like you're not getting fed, it's probably an indicator that it's time you start feeding others. It's probably time. it's probably time for you to leverage what you've received and how you've grown and your gifts and your talents and your knowledge. It's probably time that you leverage them for somebody who doesn't know Jesus yet, because that's what it's all about. Your gifts, your talents, your knowledge, what you've received is not about you. It's about probably time you leverage it for somebody who doesn't know Jesus. Amen? All right. A good way to get yourself plugged in to really feel like you're getting fed again is to get in a small group. Start off by just joining a small group, because true life, change, and growth will happen in a circle, not in these rows. You can receive a good word here, and you can learn, like, oh, man, Pastor Jeff really brought it. Man, Pastor Mike was bringing it down this morning. Man, that was such a good word. Amen. Yeah, you can get fed like that and for a little bit, but true life change and growth is going to happen when you're in a circle with people, in a small group, and you're being intentional with your relationships, when you're talking about your personal issues with each other, and you can open up and you can gain that trust, and you can pray for each other, and you can pray for somebody, and someone can pray for you. That's when you're going to start getting fed again. You want to get fed even more than that? Lead a small group. Nobody is going to learn more than you when you lead a team or a group. I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I'm sure some people on this worship team have learned something in the past year and a half, but I can guarantee not one of them has learned or grown more than I have. I guarantee it. By leading a group, nobody is going to learn more than you. I guarantee it. The things you're going to have to do to prepare for leading groups and praying for people, it's going to stretch you and grow you more than you ever thought, and you're going to grow more than anybody in your group that you lead. And you can still get fed here on Sunday, and this is a good place to fellowship and get fed, but getting in those small groups is really going to grow you and stretch you past your comfort zone to really advance the kingdom and be on fire. We like to have the thing here where we serving. Let me read. I'm trying to think of how to word this, and I'm fumbling upon my words. Serving is an honor. It is an honor when you get to serve, and it's a privilege. And I know that might not make sense to you guys, like, oh, you probably just need me to stack chairs, you probably don't want to do it anymore. No. Serving, when God puts you in a position you get to serve, that's an honor. That's a privilege. When God creates an opportunity where he wants to use you as his vessel to serve, to create an opportunity for someone to experience Jesus, that is an honor, because you are doing the greatest work that you could ever do in the world. Even if it doesn't feel like it's significant, maybe sometimes you'll come in every Sunday and you'll set up and you'll break down and you feel like, man, I feel like all my efforts are just useless. I don't feel like this is even doing anything. Like, what do lights have to do with getting people salvations? Well, if you're coming in, you're diligent, and you set up these lights, and somebody comes in, and they've really never been to church before, and they don't know Jesus, and they hear the worship, and it sounds good, like, man, I'm really feeling the Spirit here. Like, they don't know what it is, but I just feel good, and all these people are so nice, man. The people who greeted me outside really were so nice. They have something different. I've never met someone that nice. Like, what is it that they have that other people don't? And they come in and they experience worship, and they hear the songs, and they're like, oh, man, who's this Jesus? And what's the Holy Spirit? And maybe a light hits them, like, in the eye or something like that, like, oh my gosh, that was Jesus speaking to me, and they feel like a light was like the Holy Spirit, and they just submit, and they're down here like, I don't know what to do, I just feel this overwhelming feeling, and Jesus touched me, can you pray for me? And all of a sudden they're saved, and they're growing, and they're in church, and they're serving, and then they're growing in their spiritual walk, and they're leading a group, and you had something to do with it because you showed up early, and you set up that light, or you shook that hand out there, or you set up a communion table or something. Every single one of you had a part in it, whether you think you did or not. It is an honor and a privilege when you get the opportunity to serve. So I used to work at Sea Ray for about 11 months. There's a few people that actually work here and there. But I did it for about 11 months, and my brother, Adam, got me the job there. I was been working at a golf course for like 6 years, and I was just so tired of it. I was like, I need to do something else in my life. I'm not getting paid enough. So he got me the job at Sea Ray, and it's tough work. It's building luxury yachts and very demanding hours. I was doing like 72 hours a week most weeks, and then trying to do this, and it just became unmanageable. But I started off last March and started at the very bottom, the lowest pay you could get. I was just detailing. I was cleaning boats, and it was a job, and it paid better than what I was making. There was a lot of overtime, and I was grateful. And for the first 3 months, I just kind of was learning, came in, did my job, would go home. I would show up early all the time. That's always how I've been. I've always been the first one to show up for work at my job, first one to show up here on Sundays usually, and I just like to get an early start and just kind of, take in what's going to happen, just to prepare mentally for the day. So I'd show up early, and I learned. The first week was kind of rough. Didn't really do that great of a job. I was like, oh, you kind of suck. And I was like, okay, I learned. So I got better at it. Went through the learning curve of cleaning boats, building boats, and all that. And so about 3 months in, I'd really got into a flow of work, and was on a crew of about 8 or 9 people. So 3 months in, my supervisor pulled me into one of the boats privately, and he's like, I want to let you know there's a crew lead position opening up. He goes, and I want you to apply for it. I was like, I've only been here 3 months. Like, I don't know enough. I'm not experienced enough here. There's so many more people who are way more well-versed in this that can do it a lot better than I can. They have more knowledge and stuff. He goes, I don't care. Because I don't care how much they know. I don't care how much you don't know. He said, I want you to apply for it because you're going to get it. Because you're obedient, you're respectful, and you're teachable. And you know how to lead people. So it's like, okay. So I applied for it, and I did my interview, and I got the position. So I was working there for about 3 months, and I got this crew lead position, and now I've all of a sudden got a crew of about 8 or 9 people under me, and my pay grade went up 3 whole scales, and I got a ginormous raise from it. So I got the job, and I got a huge raise, and I made a lot of money in about 10 or 11 months of work, and I saved a lot of it. And I credited that to my family moving down here, being obedient, and doing these jobs with the church that I didn't like doing for so long out of obedience. And I've always been a respectful kid, and then I always was willing to learn something, so I became teachable. And by doing this worship set, by being worship leader, I learned how to lead people. Because he said, you're obedient, you're respectful, you're teachable, and you know how to lead people. So I fully gave credit to doing church planting, to starting this church and serving here for the last 9 years at the time. I gave it full credit. I was like, I learned all those attributes from serving. So now that I worked there for about 11 months, and I hated the job. It was awful. I quit, and now I'm doing this full time, and I love it. But I made so much money, and I'm able to save it. I'm now able to leverage that money to pay for school to do pastoral and leadership studies to further advance the kingdom. It's an honor and a privilege when you get to serve. When God gives you an opportunity to work with him and partner with him, that's an honor. He's asking you to team up with him to do his work. He's the best boss you could ever work for. You could work for the biggest company name ever, Nike, whatever, I don't care, and make $1 million. It's nowhere near as important for working for God, because you can make $1 million in your lifetime, and you can have a great 401k, and you can retire and be like, man, yeah, I have such a cushy life, and I went to church, and I kind of sat, and I had a relationship with God, but you never really leverage your time or your money or your talent. You can't take that money to heaven with you. You can't take it to the grave with you. It's going to mean nothing at the end of your life. So you can get to heaven, you work a great job, and you make all this money, and God can say, hey, man, welcome. You did pretty good. You had a good job. You made some money. No. When I die, I want to have leveraged my gifts and money and reach as many people for Jesus as I can, because I want to get to heaven, and I want to hear, good job, my faithful servant. Well done. I don't want to just barely get in, just kind of coast my way in. I want to hear Jesus say, good job, well done, my good and faithful servant. I long to hear those words one day when I pass away. I don't care about how much money I have. And yes, I love to save money, but I love that I can leverage it to further grow myself, to further advance the kingdom, to do more of God's work, because it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I've worked a lot of crappy jobs, and I hate it. It was never fulfilling. Even though when I made all that money at Sea Ray, I lived very comfortably, and I bought a lot of cool things, and I hated it. I was never satisfied, ever. I was like, man, I got to do more than this. This is just not fulfilling my soul. I got to do something. This is awful. So I quit. And I don't make a lot of money at all right now, and I'm way more happy than I've ever been. Because there's no greater feeling than when you're walking directly in God's will. Amen? There's no more feeling of peace and desire and just that comfort of just walking when you're directly in God's will. It beats making any amount of money or any paycheck. And maybe some of you in here, you know somebody, or maybe yourself, you just don't feel like you need to serve. Like, yeah, you know, I don't really feel like I need to do anything in church. I don't feel like I like to just come and attend. I don't feel like serving's that big of a deal. Or maybe you just kind of, you know, somebody that just kind of wants to be on stage with the mic and they just want to lead a team and don't really want to do the dirty work to get there. Well, leaders serve. Leaders serve first. Leaders show up first and they leave last. If serving is beneath you, then leading is beyond you. If you want to be a leader, for advancing God's kingdom, you got to serve. It all starts with serving. If serving is beneath you, leading is beyond you. If you want to be relevant in advancing the kingdom, it's going to cost you your complacency. The cost of relevancy is the cost of your complacency. You're going to have to move a little bit. You're going to have to get yourself a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to do more than just kind of sit and attend. You're going to have to get up there and start serving a little bit, do the dirty work a little bit. And it may not be fun, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself and a lot about the gifts if you don't know what your gifts are by serving. I discovered my gifts and talents by serving. Yes, I was always talented at sports and stuff, but didn't have a career in baseball. I wish I did, but I didn't. So I kind of was lost. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I'd been serving my whole life in church and developing these gifts and attributes of my personality by serving, which gave me my calling and vision for my life, which stirred up passion in me. If you don't have a vision for your life, you probably don't have passion in your life. So if you're lacking passion for your vision, you probably need a new vision, because with vision comes passion. So by serving, you can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn, hey man, I really love babies and I love changing diapers over there. I really want to be a mom someday, and I just love, you know, taking care of the kids for somebody, because somebody might come into the church for the first time with kids and they might not feel comfortable leaving their kid at nursery, so they're going to be uneasy in service, and they really kind of been thinking about their kid. They're not going to be able to pay attention, and maybe they don't get to salvation that day if they're not saved. But maybe when they come in and they leave their kid over nursery, they're going to feel comfortable because the nursery staff does such a great job over there, and they feel safe leaving their kid, and they don't have to worry about it when they sit in church here, and they might have a peace, and they really feel the word and hear God speak to them, and they might receive salvation that day because of somebody serving over a nursery, making that parent feel comfortable leaving their kid there. Or maybe you really love kids and you want to teach in kids' church. God bless you. I've done that too. I've been in nursery and I've taught in kids' church. Not for me. You learn a lot about yourself by serving. You learn what you don't like and what you do like. And maybe you love kids, and maybe you love working with kids, and you can teach those kids Bible lessons, and you can plant those seeds in their life that maybe might not sprout until they're a little bit older, but they're still planted by you. Because they might grow up and they've been out a rough life until they're about 30 years old, whatever, and maybe they were a recovering drug addict or something, and they remembered that Bible lesson you taught them in kids' church back when they were a little kid. And say, maybe there was something there with that. And they remember that Bible song or that verse, and that seed starts to stir, and it starts to get watered, and it starts to sprout, and salvation occurs, and they start getting plugged into church, and they grow, and then they start serving, and then they grow, and then they advance the kingdom by something that you taught them, by you serving over in kids' church when you thought it didn't mean anything. Or maybe you just like people. Maybe you just want to go and shake some people's hands who comes in. You just want to be like, oh, hey, good to see you, Because somebody might come into church, and if no one talks to them, they're not going to feel welcomed here. But they might feel, they come in and they don't have a friend in the world. And maybe it's just by you shaking their hand and asking them something simple about them. Like, oh, hey, like, what do you do for a living? Or what's God doing in your life? That's going to mean a lot to somebody who's never been asked that, who really feels like they're alone. And they're going to feel welcomed here, and they're going to feel like they have a home, and they're going to experience Jesus. And they might receive salvation, and there's going to be another spot in heaven for them. And you're going to have done a part in it, advancing the kingdom, even when you feel like it's insignificant. When you feel like shaking hands doesn't even matter. What does greeting have to do with anything? How does that advance the kingdom? That's how. By serving, you might learn maybe that you hate serving. Be like, man, I hate serving. I hate setting up. I hate doing this. I hate doing that. But I'm going to do it anyways. Because I want to be obedient to God, and it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about reaching people for Jesus. Because this church is for, yes, it's for you. It's for everybody. But we want it to be for people who don't know Jesus yet. We want people who have never experienced Jesus to feel welcomed in this place so they can experience Jesus and they can receive salvation and they can go to heaven one day. Amen. So we're going to have some opportunity for you guys. There's going to be some tables out there, and there's going to be a lot of our serve team leaders. We're going to give you guys the opportunity to sign up to serve today. So we're going to give you, there's going to be serve team leaders out there. You're going to can talk to them, get to know them, get plugged into a food pantry with Jim and Charlene, or if you want to do that, or some nursery, change some diapers, or kids' church, or there's just going to be opportunity for you guys out there to serve. Because we got big dreams here at Lifecoast, and we got big visions ahead, and God's got great plans for this church, and we want you guys to be a part of it. We don't want you guys to just be bystanders. We want you guys to get in on the action. We want to see you guys get fully involved in serving and advancing the kingdom of heaven through Palm Coast, through Lifecoast Church. We want to make it hard to go to hell through Palm Coast. We want to bring a glimpse of heaven into Lifecoast Church. We're going to leverage our gifts and our talents. We're all going to get plugged in, and we're going to serve because we're going. We're bringing heaven to Lifecoast, and we're going to save Palm Coast. You can come with us or not because we're going. We're going to give you the opportunity because it's an honor and a privilege when you get to serve. So you can join with us and advance the kingdom of heaven, doing the most important work you'll ever do in your whole entire life, or you can sit here and just get fed and not really be a part of it. It's up to you. That's fine, though. So we're going to bring heaven to Palm Coast. We're going to bring heaven to Lifecoast here first. We're going to leverage our gifts. We're going to serve, and we're going to advance the kingdom. Amen? Let me pray. Heavenly Father, God, I just pray that for this congregation, Lord, that you would just stir a passion in them, Lord, that you would allow us to leverage our gifts and talents, God. And we thank you for our gifts and talents that you've given us, Lord. And we realize that it's all about you, God. And we want to use what you've given us. We want to be good stewards, God, of what you've given us. We want to advance the kingdom of heaven, God. We're not satisfied with just a big paycheck, Lord. We want to advance your kingdom. There's no more important work that we could ever do, Lord. So just allow us to just be your light, God. Just be your vessel. Just use us, Lord. We just ask that you would use us. We want to see heaven come to Palm Coast. In your mighty and precious name we pray. Amen.